All right, picking up. I'm picking up with summarizing, and then we're going to go into a few kind of more interesting questions that were posed. So summarizing, how do I effectively understand what I'm reading, and how do I put it into my own words? So you understand what you're reading by pausing and asking yourself, what did I just read? You can put down the original and try to write a couple of notes. You can also read a larger chunk and then just see if you can remember the main points of what you read. That's a tough exercise, but it's well worth doing. Practicing, do I remember what I just read? It's a good thing to do. When there isn't enough information to break it down into smaller points, maybe it's just not something you can summarize. Maybe it's something you have to include wholesale. But if the goal is to summarize, then you need to figure out, okay, if I had to say one sentence about this, what would it be? Just sort of push yourself a little bit more. If the reader expects a summary, then you got to come up with something. How do you feel about us using different databases and websites besides ours? I mean, in our own library. I'm totally fine with you going to find a source or a database that isn't in our library. I don't imagine any database is free of errors. All of them have errors. So if you pick something outside of our library, it will have some validity and it will have some errors. If you pick something inside our library, it will have some validity and it will have some errors. So just hunt around. Remember, you can walk into any library, any academic library in the Lehigh Valley. No one knows you're not a Moravian student. Nobody knows you don't go to Muhlenberg. You can walk in, take a book off the shelf, and look at it. Nobody will stop you. I think not. Most libraries don't have swipe cards yet. But as long as they don't, you can go in and you can just check out a book. Well, you can't check it out, but you can look at it. So look around. Find out what's interesting. Every library has its own expertise or own set of collections. So enjoy. How the research can be done in this course that will help us in our future assignments and essays. Well, I don't know what your future assignments or essays will be, but if you want to research your own career interests, that's a perfectly good way to make this course useful to you. If you have a topic that you have to research in another class and you know it, you can bring it to me and say, hey, I have to do research on this topic. May I also do research in my English class? That's fine by me. I'm happy for you to learn as much as you can on things that are useful to you. Someone asked, is WorldCat available everywhere? It's online, it's free. It's available everywhere that free information isn't censored or blocked. So yeah, it really is. As far as I know, WorldCat really means you can get to it from anywhere. It's a wonderful resource, isn't it? Okay, a few other questions. Which do you like to do most of the four assignment types that we were discussed? So I love reading a new analysis or offering a new explanation for something. I like helping people see things differently or see things in a new way. I don't necessarily care about arguing people into doing one thing or another, but I like helping them see the world differently. Which sources are more valuable for research? Well, I'm a historian, so I always like primary sources. Should all information be available to everyone? Can it be detrimental to someone who isn't equipped to properly digest it? Yeah, this is a good question, because if you think about, like, say you want to teach about the subject of slavery to third graders, how much should they know and how much can they absorb? It's a horrible, long human condition running crime, and it can be pretty awful to think about because it includes kidnapping, rape, right? Mutilation. How much do you need to teach a third grader? Should they know that it exists and that it was a thing that was done to other people and that it has long-running implications? Sure. Should they know every detail at third grade? No. So, and I think that's just generally when you're teaching about hard or bad subjects, you temper it to the understanding of the person that you're talking to. Sometimes if an adult just doesn't want to know something, you might be more confrontational. I'm not recommending you're confrontational about everything, but there are times that you might say, sorry you don't like this, you still need to know it. It's a complicated question and a good one. What are some non-scholarly sources you've had the pleasure of seeking out, like an interview? I will take a long walk in a strange city to just get to know that space. I think you learn how people will feel and think and act. Just immerse yourself. If you want to understand a time period or a place, you just need to kind of dwell with it a little bit. So there's not one source, but a habit of seeking immersion is something that I would say has been very important to me in doing my work and research. How do you know what information to include in a summary? How do you determine what makes it into your teaching? Cutting down is really hard. I often find myself over-researching something in my history classes and then sticking it all into what I call a rabbit hole, where I have a little sidebar and say, if you want to know more about it, look at this, 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 this. It is just tough to cut down. And if you love a subject, I think that's not a crime. It's okay to be a little over on the things you love. Have you ever changed your mind or answered a decision after learning the background and reasoning? Yes, of course. Every reasonable person should change their mind with new information. Why people do what they do. Should we have something? I'll give the death penalty for an example. We talked about that in the class a little bit, or I did. I think I came at that from an ethical point of view, that the state should have the right to protect its citizens, which occasionally means getting rid of some of the ones who are ungovernably awful. Now I'm not so certain about that, because the number of people who appear to have been innocent and executed makes me feel like I'm not sure. I think that giving the state that right is a great idea. So yeah, I've changed my mind about big things with information, and even things that I had an ethical position on, I've been moved off of that by information. I think that's what you should do in life. Explanation on the topic of your choice. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. I've suggested the Google Arts database is a really great one to look at. That's just fun. And has your understanding of an assignment helped you accomplish academic tasks more successfully? Yeah, you complete an academic task by negotiating between what it is you want the task to be and what your audience wants to know. And if you have a particular picky audience, you have to really negotiate to get to satisfy, for instance, your PhD committee. I would think that was my main academic task, in terms of my career arc. I had to make sure my PhD committee accepted my PhD. And that was a long negotiation. Okay, that's it for tonight. Thanks for your patience. I will put up both of these videos and also my answers. Good night.